And hi, welcome back to the Spanglish Show. Now it's called Northern New Mexico, the Spanglish Show, with yours truly, Nelson Martinez. Mucho gusto que se están sintonizando. Thank you for, tuning us in and also sharing and, thumbs up, whatever you can do to help this old chimayoso. I sure would appreciate it. But today's episode is, say hello to Monica Armenta. Hey, Monica.
Hey, Nelson. Thank you for inviting me on this special occasion.
How cool is this? I'm always wanting to interview. Since you got off the air, it's been ages. What happened ever since you disappeared? I said, now there's a person I ought to get here because people want to see. And where did Monica go?
Where did I go? Well, I was at KOB for 23 years.
No me digas,
As
23.
you know,
23,
because the
yes.
last leg of it was with you. In fact, I feel kind of like we're on the set again. It feels so wonderful. We had so much fun together.
Isn't that cool?
So 23 years there, and then I went to be the executive director of communications for Albuquerque Public Schools.
Mírala.
19 years.
Here, here.
Can you believe that?
No.
I was there 19 years, and then a couple years ago, I took the job. I'm the president and CEO of New Mexico Broadcasters Association, and it's like coming home.
Gee.
You know, you and I never lost touch, so that was not the experience that I'm having now. But for so many people that I knew for all those years, and now getting back in touch with them, it's really been wonderful.
But you've paid your dues and then some.
Most of it on the morning show was that was something I'll never forget. I'll forever be grateful. It gave me the start to the rest of my life. APS was hard. 19 years in a department where I had 3 people for an entire city. Even though I'd request more help, there just didn't ever happen. So there were no branch offices. You handled everything over there.
So that's A to Z you handled stuff.
A to Z, police, classroom, superintendent. I worked for 7 superintendents and 143 schools. So,
really? 143 counts.
And the communications department of 3 people. It was crazy. It was night and day and
non-stop.
Yeah, I am grateful that I learned so much.
Yeah.
I mean, my skill set just sort of blew up there. You had to know everything, and I made some wonderful lifetime friends. But I've always been very fortunate that I know when it's time to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, that is the key.
Man, if you can, not overstay, you're welcome. And that's, well, not to turn it to me, but I do remember that, okay, this feels good after 17 years. It's time to move on, no? And that's what you've done.
Yeah, you have had such a brilliant career. I'm always telling people, I wish you knew Nelson as well as I do. When I tell them that, you worked for NBC for all those years, that you were interviewed at Fidel Castro, that you had all these experiences. People know you and love you as an icon in this state, especially for us norteños,
Norteños, you bet.
And what the young people won't remember, which is always going to be a part of my heart and my family's heart, is how proud you made us feel.
No, me digas.
Absolutely. It's it's true. I mean, you were in a place that no one in the state has yet hit again. You brought a pride to New Mexico that took a long time. It took a long time. You weren't just another anchor. You were someone who brought with you the heart and soul of who we are.
Listen, that's so sweet of you, Monica.
I'm not sweet, Nelson. I'm only honest.
Well, the reason I say, because, and thank you for the accolades, I can't tell you. But we want to know about Monica Armenta.
What do you want to know?
Well, you were so bubbly there and professional. I mean, can't deny that. When you anchored the news over there, and I have great memories of you and I on the noon. And that was very cool. That was very cool. It didn't turn out so well for me, as the story goes, and all of that, because of we won't get into that because that's kind of political, I guess. But nevertheless.
I'm trying to remember who left first. Did I leave first or you left? I think I did.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I try to erase everything of that era. But Channel 7 was great for me. Oh my God, Marilyn Roper and all of that. Which I always thank her every time I turn around because really she really opened the door for me and to Mary Lynn. I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, well, she should thank you. You made a lot of money for that station, and you kept them on top for many, many years.
12,
yeah,
at least.
She's one of the past presidents of the New Mexico Broadcasters Association. So we're getting ready to have our 75th anniversary dinner and the rest. So I probably will see her, and I'm sure that I'll be able to tell her. She knows we're friends, and I always tell her. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in years, but she's been dynamite, as they say, in her field. And we kind of hit it off because when I first applied at Channel 7, came to be that she was from Raton. Her father owned a radio station. And so we kind of related because I started the radio station in Española, so we kind of, at Cadiz. But we're from the same, I remember her saying once that her mama didn't raise no fool when I applied because we're both from small towns and both had a little broadcasting background and all of that. So she was gracious and said, "Can you start Monday?" That was great. Thank you again. But anyway, that's your story, starting at Channel 4 forever. I mean, how many years?
Yeah, Tom Udall used to call me the intern who never left. I've come full circle.
Yeah.
So when I had a brother, as you know, who had severe disabilities. So I grew up with, my attention really sort of stretched here and there and everywhere. But I wasn't a great student just because I didn't really have the time to focus on school. Mm-hmm. I've always loved to read, and my dad used to call me Chatty Cathy. I guess I've always talked a lot. So
Chatty Cathy.
Yeah, he laughed that I found the right profession, right? So I really didn't have any desire to go to college, but my parents had other plans. So they dropped me off at UNM with enough lunch money, and they said, "We'll pick you up, and you have to be registered, or you're going to have to, make your own way through the world." And thank God they did.
Wow.
I love journalism.
Yeah.
And then I applied for a scholarship with the New Mexico Broadcasters Association, and they gave me money for college, and they gave me an internship at KOB TV.
Sweet.
So that's how it started.
Happened. Yeah.
And I stayed there 23 years, and now I'm back at the NMBA. Isn't that crazy how life works?
Is that kind of like full circle, you think?
It is full circle, but I think it's one of those things where I'm old enough now to know that so much of what I worried about was just silly. There's a plan.
Yeah.
And, if you can kick back and appreciate it and do your best and just don't stop, it all comes to be.
That's, looks like the way it, you find your own way, so to speak. But I've said this, somebody said this, but maybe it's in the Bible, I'm sorry, I don't. Said, faith is taking the first step and not knowing where the staircase is. Yep. That's kind of profound, huh?
It is, and I think it's...
have faith, you're going to be okay.
I think it's true.
And look at you.
Well, I think you're an example of someone who had a dream. Mine wasn't a dream. I'm just not afraid of work.
Yeah.
And I lean into things I enjoy, and I love people. I mean, not all the time. Everybody needs their solitude from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, what brings me the most joy are the people I love being around.
No kidding. Listen, we've got Monica Armenta here in the studio, and just so thrilled. I've been wanting to catch up to her because she's one busy woman and professional at that. And we worked together as we were discussing in Channel 4, actually, and enjoyed that. We'll talk more about that when we come back. So stick around. Thank you. You're listening to Northern New Mexico, the Spanglish Show with Nelson Martinez. Orale, thank you for tuning us in. Be right back.
El show de Nelson Martinez ahorita se va a empezar. ¡Qué bonito es lo bonito!
A la Mexicana Tortilla Company. Yummy.
The Spanglish Show with Nelson Martinez, a dynamic new video podcast series.
And welcome back. The orchestra's ready. You know, the big shows, Tonight Show, remember that? Da. Well, 10 years old, we got this little sucker here. And I've had it ever since, missing a screw, but it still doesn't bother me. Always do the echo. Anyway, no budget for the big orchestra. Welcome back to the Spanglish Show. I'm Nelson Martinez. And our special guest today, as you just tuned in, is Monica Armenta. Hi, Monica, again.
Hi, Nelson.
How sweet of you to make the time. And I know we have been talking about it for months upon months to come to the studio and let's talk. We're just a chat here to update your fans. You have a cajillion fans when you did the morning show over there at Channel 4.
Thank you. It was fun.
It was fun, wasn't it? And then I came along and did the noon with you. I was thrilled to death that me anchoring the news with Monica Armenta. It was nice. It was very nice.
Yeah, it was like doing the show with family, you know. It was just all of a sudden it was like, oh, here comes my favorite cousin. Or I remember just talking and talking. They'd have to shut us up before we get back to the scripts.
I know. You know, you have things of which you relate to which you relate. And it was great talking about Santa Fe, because your family's from Santa Fe, no?
Yeah, Canyon Road. We're still
there.
We're still there.
Well, that's cool. And do you remember did you grow up in Santa Fe per se?
Yeah, well, I was born there, and then we didn't move till I was about 9. We had to move when my brother was born. He had a lot of medical issues. But oh yeah, I can still sit on the porch there at Acequia Madre and Canyon Road and remember, I don't know if you remember Tommy Massioni, the artist. Well, Tommy used to come by and have lemonade with my grandma and I on the porch. My grandpa worked in the wood yard all the way to the back, and my grandma would, stand in the middle of the road, and he'd have to come get his coffee, and I'd run up and down. They were different times.
That's
and
cool.
It was just a wonderful way to grow up.
That's for sure. Another thing is the atmosphere in Santa Fe is so different.
It is.
No,
It
está
is.
pero suave también. I mean, it's kind of like it just feels good.
It is
especially
different.
growing up there. I mean, that's and kind of felt a little envidioso. The word is jealous because all the foreign folks coming into town and buying up stuff, which is okay. You got a beautiful home up there. In fact, we stayed in a neat little home up in the hills there above one of the. What is the name of that hotel down there? Gee whiz, by Tesuque area there.
Okay.
Oh, up. I got to tell you, some beautiful homes. But nevertheless, which one do you own up there?
Well, we're right there on Canyon Road in Acequia Madre. That was the front house. And then you go back, and my dad has some apartments, and then the wood yard where my grandpa used to run the wood yard. We haven't done anything with that yet. We're trying. Santa Fe's a tough place now to develop unless you have, a lot of money.
No, okay.
And once you get into the historical and the archaeological part of town, things get kind of difficult. So maybe in my retirement years?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's very sentimental property. I think we're one of the last original families. The Rios, of course, also ran a wood yard, and they're still there on, I think it's Camino de Montesol and Canyon Road. It's still beautiful.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to live in. Santa Fe's, closes down pretty early in the evening, and it's a beautiful place to go, and it feels like, what's hard to believe is that Canyon Road used to be the barrio. I mean, that's where they used to have the farmers and the rest, and things just change over time. My memories are of my family, and I think no matter where you're from, once that family leaves, it changes a little.
It does.
But I am glad that my kids, my 2 sons, Alejandro and Diego, and I just have one sister and my 2 nieces, Andrea and Adriana, they've all been able to know the history. My dad is still alive, so he teaches them. It has that very special place. That's where my roots are.
Well, that's it. It feels good.
It does.
Yeah, DNA is very happy when it goes to Santa Fe with you.
And Norteños are very proud of their land. I mean, it's something that sort of is part of who we are. I don't know how to explain that, but it absolutely is.
Sure it is. So let's get back to what we were talking about in the first segment here, about the responsibility you had at APS. You were the director of communication, right? That was it, and which means if there were a problem within the system, God forbid, don't even go there, but tragedies and all of that, they go to Monica. What's going on? She had to know it all, no?
Yes, and I'm, I came from TV, so
that you fit in.
Well, your journalism background is you believe in transparency. You want to have that relationship with people. The people who send their kids to public schools absolutely have the right to understand as much as they can. So that's what I tried to do in the years there. Made some lifelong friends, many of whom I miss, but I have to say that I don't think I've ever been happier than I am right in this moment.
Now that's what I wanted to segue at.
That's
Good
a great
segue.
thing to be able to say with complete honesty and with my heart.
Oh, so what do you do these days then?
Well, as the president and CEO of the New Mexico Broadcasters Association, we basically make sure that we have all the ability to advocate as much as we can for broadcasters in the state. And there's some very big things going on. Most people have never heard of the AM for Every Vehicle Act, but there's actually been legislation that still is lingering there where vehicle manufacturers want to eliminate AM and FM from every vehicle that's made in the country now.
Really? Why?
Why? Because they want you to subscribe to a service. And in times of emergency, when digital and broadband and the rest of it goes down, the only way to reach people still in this country when there's an emergency, as we've seen time and time again in the Carolinas, in Mora, when we had fires and the rest, is through radio.
Yeah.
But the reason I took the job is I am very, very passionate about making sure, especially in a state like ours, that you never in this country have to pay to have access to information, entertainment, news, and emergencies. That should not be a factor in here. Of course, that's kind of the road we're taking. I mean, there are a lot of changes in broadcasting. Now the big fight is going to be my husband and son and dad wanted to watch a Lobo game earlier this season, and I had to get a Disney subscription to be able to watch that one game.
That's...
Well, putting sports, you see Netflix just bought a bunch of new NFL games. And aside from Christmas now, they have others. So putting sports behind a paywall is a difficult thing for a lot of people who enjoy and have always had access to that, especially in New Mexico when we have the state basketball tournaments. During the state basketball tournaments, the NMBA works with the NMAA to make sure that our small radio stations and TV stations, whoever wants to be there, has the the media seats right up front to be able to report. Not everybody in those small towns like Clayton or Hobbs or Roy, not everybody has the money to come up here and watch their teams pay for, but they have access there to report play-by-play. They're fabulous to watch. I mean, they're so good.
They are.
But you can see how much pride they take, and we want to make sure that they never lose that ability. So there's also the issues that, just unfair anymore to linear broadcasters, where you're now required to, aside from creating the content and putting it online and the rest, digital comes in and just takes it without any payment, doesn't have any guardrails. It's a very different world.
Is it ever?
So we are in D.C. Quite often talking with our congressional delegation. And we are very lucky in this state, to have 5 people up there who put us first and who are really relentless in their efforts to make sure that people still have the right to information. Of course, Senators Lujan and Heinrich in our congressional delegation, Ms. Stansberry, Ms. Teresa Ledger Hernandez, and of course, Representative Gabe Vasquez. So we meet with them on a regular basis. We meet with the NAB, which is the umbrella over all 50 states where the real advocacy happens. And advocacy, lobbying, whatever you want to call it, it's expensive. And if you don't know the people who hold the keys of power,
that's a ticket.
But there's a huge voice once you're united. So that's really what the NMBA does. Aside from offering training for a lot of our broadcasters at no fee, we're coming up on a big convention in Gala where we do awards every year, scholarships, that sort of thing.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at the new Marriott Pyramid North that was just remodeled. It's beautiful. So we're looking forward to that. And we're doing it for the very first time. We're also trying to, it's not like when we were in broadcasting where people are banging down the doors to, be on air. The industry has changed. Now they all want to be influencers because there's a lot of money to be made, right, on the social media channels. But we're going to do an after party this year in hopes that when the rest of us are like tired and just like, okay, that was wonderful, the young people, because if you remember, there's really nowhere, unless you're at a crime scene or some event where everybody has to be, there's no real opportunity to get together and have
a ball.
And have conversations and talk. Absolutely.
Mitote.
That still is the king of it all, right? And we joke about it, but the truth is you never want to be involved in malicious gossip. That's just very negative energy.
It goes zero.
Gossip's information. I mean, it's not all bad. The more you know about people, the more you know about the industry you work on, then the further along you can get. It's good to have friends. Look at us.
What better networking than El Mitote?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, Monica Armenta, she's our guest today here on the Spanglish Show, Northern New Mexico, the Spanglish Show with yours truly, Nelson Martinez. Very nice that you are sharing or following, because when you do follow, you'll get notifications of our next episode. And we're planning on interviewing a lot more folks as interesting, if not, hey, maybe not as interesting as Monica Armenta. We had a good time over at that station we used to work at. And we're going to come back in a minute or two just to wrap it up and see what direction Monica Armenta, the great broadcaster and now the president of the New Mexico
Broadcasters Association.
BANMBA, yeah, New Mexico Broadcasters Association. That's a heavy role, and she's doing quite well and representing Nuevo Mexico top shelf too. So we'll be right back. Don't go away. Thank you for being with us, first of all.
Mexicana Tortilla Company. Yummy.
Baby, 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 won't you tell me yes? I'm slowly sad. Still rocking.
At Lesman's, we have been doing the music for a long time, going on 70 years. 5413 Lomas Northeast. Nice folks mean gear. Remember, shop local.
And welcome back to the Spanglish Show here with Nelson Martinez. Muchas gracias for tuning us in and following and so forth. Yes, I'm the guy that used to anchor the news at 7, but also I took a break or retired from 7, as you may know, and went over to 4 a year later, and I anchored with this wonderful, talented journalist. Her name, none other, and you know the name, it was very common back in the day, Monica Armenta. Welcome back again.
Thank you, Nelson.
It's been nice talking to you here. I just, I'm so, I'm an admirer from the get-go, because you broke a lot of glass ceilings, really, doing the morning show for years.
Thank you. It was great fun. I was very blessed, and I was really happy when, of course, you came and joined the team, because you're a big deal. You still are a big deal, but it was just fun. I was just telling Nelson, it's too bad we don't have the hours we usually take at dinner when we can't stop talking about all those things. But it's changed, right? Everything is so different now. I think of all the things I've done, what I've been most appreciative of is first making lifelong friends and having people in my life who I'm always going to care about.
Sure.
But then also having the ability to learn so much. So even now, I still love to learn. The thing I'm really interested in now that most people are kind of on the edge about is AI, because AI is changing the way.
I wanted to talk to you about that.
The way we work and live, right?
Man.
And I just read a book, not that they need a plug, but it was a fascinating book. It's called Open to Work, and the two guys who created and launched LinkedIn wrote it. And they gave the example about how things change and you really just have to sort of embrace it. There was an actual career back in the late 1800s in London where these people would go out with a basket full of frozen peas, and their job title was knocker-uppers.
Oh my.
And they would throw the frozen peas at the windows of the factory workers because they didn't have alarm clocks yet.
Sure.
But the book says that I find so appealing, because broadcast is definitely that area, is how now that we have a way to get so many of the automated things done, where you were basically, everything was based around productivity and how much could you get out, and how the real skills are going to be the 5: communication, courage, critical thinking, compassion, and curiosity. That's journalists, but that's also nurses, counselors, therapists. They are going to be the people who now have the opportunity to make more of the salaries and to have more of the opportunities, because those are all areas that AI can't touch. And I find that so exciting. And finally, right?
Yeah.
Because before, all the positions that paid were, you're still going to need your scientists, you're still going to need your mathematicians and the rest. But those skills that can't be touched by AI are going to be really well regarded and well paid. And I think that's an exciting thing.
It's another version of the industrial age per se,
is.
electronically anyway.
Do you remember back, I remember in the newsrooms when computers were introduced, and I remember a couple of people who like physically would not let the typewriters go, like, no, I am not going to. Can you imagine where we'd be without that?
No kidding, no, I can't. I can't imagine how it is without GPS anymore.
I know, so I worry a little bit about, you know, you want the originality. No one's going to take your voice.
Yeah.
If you are a writer, if you know how to sing, if you're one of those creative people, you're still always going to have that gift. I don't see, I really don't. I can tell now on music what's been AI generated or not. I think that but I think it's a smart thing to get to know it and to not be afraid of it. The other thing that they say in this book is that it should really, for the first time, level the playing field.
Sure.
Because if you weren't someone who was born in the right zip code and you were an entrepreneur,
I see.
you really had no way to test that. Now AI is opening that door to give you a little bit more.
Sure.
And also, if you never had a role model, if you never saw someone who actually could do those things, that now there's more opportunity.
Sure.
And so there should be a different way to explore, which should make more time for problem solving and creating new things. So I'm excited about that.
You know, she's been on television before, can you tell?
No, I just talk a lot. You already know that.
No.
You already know that.
But you bring the message home, and that's, a lot of folks can't do that. And you don't get distracted, and even though I'm distracting you for the moment, but I got to pay you that compliment because you know what you want to say and you get it done. That's good. That's the experience that they are paying you for at the NM, you know, the New Mexico Broadcasters Association. And I go blank. It's the age.
I don't know if it's the age. You don't change. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
Boy, let's talk about time and how it has just, whew. I mean, I remember when I got hired at Channel 7. Good grief, I was 36 years old. I'm 78 plus now.
Nobody can forget when you were there. You changed the game.
Well, thank you.
You did.
Thank
you
you.
need to just own that. You changed the game. And
I was
for
so
the
blessed.
longest time,
Blessed.
you were the person that so many of us looked up to. And just, it's a great thing.
It was, you know, I didn't know my role per se. I just wanted to be as professional as possible. And I remember that, you know, phone calls that I'd get. And I won't repeat them because I sound like I me estoy echando el caldo, that I'm, you know, putting out my collar. But no, there were some beautiful compliments. Thank you. Because without that backing, el apoyo, you know, backing up your local people, without that, you just don't go anywhere. It was just wonderful. I do appreciate it.
You know what? I think part of it is that it's a little overwhelming, and we're raised to be, you know, humble, and it's hard to hear people be so. That sounds silly, but it's not easy to have people be so kind.
Yeah, that's the deal.
And so you always want to hope that you were gracious and that people knew how much you appreciated them. But when you're in that situation, it is a little different. And when you get some perspective, it's like, wow, these people made my life.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
they absolutely paved the roads for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, without people that are seasoned per se, that had the experience, the elders, if you will. And if you pay attention, you don't have to do everything that they broadcast or whatever. But at least listen.
Yeah,
some things work.
And the fact that they tuned in and they took the time to write cards. And,
Eso.
you know, and back then we lived by numbers. I mean, you really did not have a job if those numbers didn't stay up.
That's right.
And that's
and
a lot of
numbers
pressure.
meaning the ratings
Right.
overnight.
They don't do overnights anymore.
No, they don't?
No.
Well, what happens? Or what? Or how do they? Well, who knows?
I don't know. I don't have to know that part, thank goodness.
Yeah, me neither. But you know what? When I was so pleased, I hope I'm going to run this through my lawyer because the contract that it's expired at Channel 4 for years and years. But still, there was a clause in there that I wasn't too aware of, and the clause had something to do with if Channel 4 at the time that they hired me would be number one. During the 10 o'clock news in the month of November, because that's where they set their rates for advertising. And if at any point that we were number one, because they were number 3 at times, number 2, you know, consistently. And Channel 7, where I was always number 1 for the 12 years that I anchored the evening anyway. And so they said, okay, if we ever hit number 1 on the 11 o'clock news, or 10 o'clock, you get all a bonus.
Wow.
Really? I said. And perhaps, well, I don't know, it's out of the bag per se. We did hit number one. For all the years that they've been number 3 and 2, whatever, they hit number one. And, well, it wasn't just me, of course. It was Carla and it was that other guy. Anyway, so thank you. I appreciate all my cousins and brothers and sisters all over northern New Mexico that tuned in or followed me from 7 to Channel 4 at the time.
Yeah, there was one morning that I'll never forget. I was sitting there and general manager came back, and the Hubbards, who own KOB TV and a number of stations, they sold I'm not going to remember right now, but they sold a satellite service, and so every employee got a bonus based on the number of years that they were there. And I walked away that morning with $27,000.
Right on, girl.
Yeah, well, I'd already been there a long time.
Oh, well,
but
sure.
it was one of those. It was, like a Christmas
I'd heard
movie.
about it. Yes.
It was like a Christmas movie. It was like, really? And then I had a good friend who had just left.
And he
she had been there
missed
so
out.
many years,
And
but.
missed out.
Yeah, there were some great little pieces of capitalism that worked for us during those years.
Yeah, absolutely, man. When I got my paycheck, I thought, what's this? They made a mistake. I even went to accounting. I said, hey, did you guys, I hate to, but you'll catch. I went to the boss, actually, Cordes, I think. I can't remember now. Oh, my God, I'm glad. I forgot his name. Burgess, yeah.
Mike
Burgess, yeah. Anyway, I went to him. I said, hey, I just got my paycheck. I think you guys made a mistake. Why? And I showed, no, we keep our promise. He said, we hit number one there first time in years. And, we keep our promise. Oh, thank you very much. Anyway, back to my first time I was hired there, the only time I was hired there at 4. Word got around that I was getting a humongous bunch of money, I guess. I didn't tell us, so I barely told my mother, hey, new contract, Mom, check it out. And my wife, and that's it, nobody else. And so word got around that, I was going to be very well paid to go to Channel 4. So there I was, and all of a sudden I started feeling in fact, when I first showed up to the Christmas party, boy, you feel that cold wave coming at you, I'm like, what did I do? And it turned out, a lot of people said, well, I think that the money that they paid you to get you over here, they had to take away from this department and that department, so that one guy couldn't get a raise, this one couldn't get their news truck because they had to make up the money, blah, 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 blah. And it's not my fault, man. I've been in the biz since I was 16, you know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know what that's called, but whatever it's called, it didn't feel good. Excuse me. But it's over and done with, water under the bridge, and all is well that ends well.
I just remember being happy you were there.
Yeah.
That's really just, and it is a really competitive business.
It is. It's
a very competitive business. They're good people, and I think it happens in all industries that, in fact, it was my youngest kid who told me, we were talking about a friend of his who was angry at a friend of his over some job he got, and I thought, wow, I raised this kid well, because he said, Mom, no one has the right to be angry at someone because they planned their life better or worked harder. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you earned your spot there.
Well, I feel that everybody pays off their dues, and there are dues to be paid. Like, you just can't hop in the broadcast business and become an anchorman. I don't think. Maybe you can if you're super good looking and got a great voice and blah, blah.
Well, you were all of that, Nelson. But I think one of the things that is also true for you is the fact that you're doing this. It speaks to your talent and the real passion you had. Yeah. And the truth is, you cannot there's one thing about a camera. You cannot lie to a camera.
No.
A camera will pick up if you're angry, if you're unhappy, whatever it is. And you stayed with it all these years. My heart is so full to see this setup today in your beautiful casita, which is anything but a casita, but this beautiful home that you've made, you and Gina, and the fact that you're still doing what you love, because that's where God gave you that talent.
I guess so. I must have been a town crier in my past life because I just love it. It's a passion. It's an opportunity. It's not to feed my ego, but it helps. But it's to give a person, especially my gente, in northern Mexico, come on aboard. I've interviewed so many people, including the ambassador to Spain. He's Edward
Fidel
Romero.
Castro?
Well, actually, I wanted to correct you on that. I never interviewed Fidel Castro. I was in the crew.
Yes, that's
I was
what I
the
meant.
sound guy.
Yeah.
I was the sound guy.
You were still there.
But, oh my God, I was still there, and I'll forever remember that tall man that was surrounded by Russian Secret Service and the rest of the people that who went to question, the pool of press. But that was a great experience.
But the thing that people who don't know you as well as I do may or may not pick up on, one of the things I think that one of the reasons why you have done so well is because you're so positive and you're so loving towards other people, but you really are a master of your thoughts. I have watched that and I admire it. You understand that all you can act on is your thoughts, and you have brought so much good to your own life and to others by ways of that. But I admire that you work at that and that it's worked for you. I think about you telling me the story about that little boy in Chimayo laying in the grass and looking up at the plane and already having an idea of what you wanted to do with your life and then just moving forward.
Speaking of a plane, and like I did, you're right, I looked up to the skies. I was a kid, 9, 10 years old, and in Chimayo, in the summer, and you could always hear the loud plane, 500 feet up, and I'd look and I'd stare and I just kind of would dream of flying a plane. I'd even go to Tykert's in Los Alamos when we lived there, and I'd buy a little plastic plane, 10 cents. Then I'd go to another store in Española. In the first place, I'd go to the toy department, another little plane. Then on the way home, I'd sit in the back seat. My mom was driving, and I'd stick the plane outside the window, and I'm flying it, right? So lo and behold, fast forward the tape. Check this out. That's if you see that little dot on the screen, that's me flying a Piper Lance, 1978 that I purchased. And look at this. I'm flying into Los Alamos. The background looks like the ocean, and the runway at the Los Alamos airport looks like a top of an aircraft carrier, boy. The canyons on one side, traffic on the other. It was, and that was my solo flight to Los Alamos. So what a ball. And guess what? My mom was there. She lived there at the time. We lived there. Was there to greet us. My son, he was a co-pilot, if you will.
I didn't know that. Jeff was your co-pilot.
Yeah, muscle,
wow.
And he went and got his pilot's license. So, yeah, we both had a ball flying the plane. And anyway, so dreams come true.
Well, they do, and that's another reason to be happy about this podcast. We just got not to give you competition, but we just have a new client, and the Kellogg Foundation gave money to create a new podcast here called Pasas Over PS, where they talk about how many great things New Mexico has to offer.
Amen.
And your podcast and you are right up there with it.
Well, let me tell you, I mentioned it in previous episodes anyway, that, I told you about, I'm one of the producers of this movie, this new one with Stephen Michael Quesada.
I love Stephen Michael Quesada.
That's called Teal. And very current. It's about ice and all that disaster stuff that went on in Minnesota. And by golly, it's quite a movie. What I saw, I was able to go in the privy closed set there, and they shot some, one of the scenes. And wow, I'm excited. I'm sure, like I say, just to be transparent, I am a producer of the movie Teal, one of many. And so I'm looking forward to it. Look forward to putting it on the broadcast here when it's released.
Yeah, Stephen Michael Quesada is another star. I mean, he really is. And the fact that he does, that guy is, I don't know where he gets his energy from, but aside from all of his brilliance in the business, he gives so much to this community. So.
And he's a good golfer, too.
I forgot you golf.
Yeah, I golfed with him and Mark Padilla and another fellow by the name of Richard, and we...
You're going to have to invite Ed. He's really learned to love golf now.
That's right.
Yeah, so
he's a golfer.
Get me a Saturday to myself, please.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
I'm joking, of course, but he loves to golf now.
No, I know that feeling, but yeah, good deal. I'll keep that in mind, see if we can get him out there.
Absolutely.
I'm not a very good golfer, but hey, you do what you do.
You get your
out there
steps
to
in and you
enjoy.
get the sunshine, absolutely.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
That's what
enjoy
he's doing
the
right
air.
now.
Yeah, cool, all right, cool. Well, mira, Monica, we could go on for a long time.
Forever.
I'm sure that somewhere along the line we will continue this broadcast, and people who really they want to know, where's Monica Armenta? Whatever happened to her? And well, here's an update, and we'll even update that eventually to mass information about what you're up to and how long you're going to be doing this. How long are you going to be doing? When are you going to come home and roost?
Until they tell me I have to stop. I like working.
Do you?
And as long as I'm having fun and making
and you're
a
only
difference.
29.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I don't have grandkids yet. Alejandro and Perla married 2 years ago, and Diego lives out of state.
Yeah.
And I don't really. It's their lives.
Yeah,
I built
yeah,
mine
yeah.
the way I wanted
Sure,
it, and
sure.
I'd be delighted. But I have a lot to keep me busy, so I don't plan to stop until someone tells me I have to.
And what's that saying? I'm not going to stop till the cows come home.
There
What's
you
that
go.
mean?
There you go. Well, you're the farm boy, not me.
I
You
think
tell
it means
me.
I have no say. Maybe somebody out there will get me up to speed on that one. But yeah, I used to milk the cows up in Chimayo. Man. So my dad said once in a while, says, "Ay, cuando lleguen las vacas," when the cows come home.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we get to work. I'm not sure, but anyway, somebody knows. Not important. It's good to know those little sayings anyway. you know.
Yeah, not any cows on Canyon Road. I remember the cabritos, but those were sad
Cabritos
memories because
and
then
the
that meant
cabrones,
there'd be
no.
everything else sometime. Oh, I don't want to think about that.
Bueno, pues, Monica, again, a real thrill to have you here. Finally,
you,
we get
Nelson.
together to be part of the many, you're the 50th episode here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just love you. You know that. You're
I-
going to be a friend forever.
Igualmente, equally. And so anyway, mucho gusto. Dame otro beso y abrazos y todo eso. Monica Armenta, she's been with us today, special guest on her 50th episode of The Spanglish Show. So we thank her, and we'll keep you up to date on what she's up to as the former, head of the communications department at Albuquerque Public Schools. Imagine that. Many more stories to come. And thanks again.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching and sharing and thumbs up. Appreciate that. Nelson Martinez with you. Hasta la próxima.
El show de Nelson Martínez, ahorita se va a empezar. Él trae mucha alegría.
The Spanglish Show with Nelson Martinez.